several other police killings of New Orleans residents in the aftermath of Katrina. The Vermont Senate has voted to close the state's lone nuclear power plant. On Wednesday, state senators voted to shut the Vermont Yankee plant when its license expires in 2012. The 38-year-old plant is one of the oldest in the country and has had a series of leaks. The move marks the first time a state has moved to shut down a reactor in over 20 years. Opponents of the plant broke into cheers after the vote was announced. Vermont State Senate President Peter Schulman said the vote would have national implications.
I think from a national perspective, the question is, what does this mean for other states? And I'm certainly intend to use my power as President of the Senate to ensure that we make ourselves accessible to other legislators, other governors who want to understand better how they can empower their states to address the concerns that they might have about their aging nuclear power fleet, what it's doing to their families, to their communities. So there is a national message in this action today.
You can go to our website, democracynow.org, for our coverage of the Vermont vote from Wednesday's broadcast. India and Pakistan are holding peace talks today for the first time since the Mumbai attacks of 2008. The Indian and Pakistani foreign ministers are meeting in the Indian capital of New Delhi. India has accused Pakistan of failing to confront militants responsible for attacks inside Indian territory, while the two sides are at odds over competing claims to Kashmir. The talks come as the Obama administration continues to increase weapons sales to both countries. An executive with the consulting firm Deloitte told the Wall Street Journal that India is seen, quote, as the most important market in the world for defense contractors looking to make foreign military sales. Cuban President Raul Castro has expressed regret over the death of a jailed hunger-striking dissident. Orlando Zapata Tamayo had refused to eat for 85 days to protest what he called inhumane jail conditions. Amnesty International had declared him a prisoner of conscience. On Wednesday, Castro said Tamayo had received Cuba's best medical care and said Cuba very much regrets his death. Castro also defended Cuba's treatment of prisoners, comparing it to the United States.
In a half a century, we haven't killed a single person. Here, there was no torture. There was no execution. Here, we haven't killed anyone unlawfully. Well, here in Guantanamo, there has been torture, but in the Guantanamo Naval Base, not in our territory.
And back in the United States, Maryland's announced it will now recognize same-sex marriages performed in other states. On Wednesday, the Maryland Attorney General's office said it's directed state agencies to grant out-of-state couples the same rights they've been afforded elsewhere. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
And welcome to all of our listeners and viewers around the country and around the world.
You know, Juan, following up on our debate on charter schools, you had a very interesting piece in the New York Daily News today.
Yes, well, my column in the paper today, there was a hearing yesterday in Washington of the Education Committee of the House of Representatives over reauthorization of No Child Left Behind, and the Obama administration wants to double the amount of money being spent across the country on new charter schools. And my column actually dealt with one of the people who testified at that hearing yesterday, the lead person testifying at the hearing, Eva Moskowitz, who runs the Harlem Success Academies, a group of about 4 or 5 schools in Harlem. And I've been fighting now for months to get the email correspondence between her and the chancellor of the New York City Public School Systems, Joel Klein. And the department fought me for 8 months. We needed a legal ruling. Our newspaper had to appeal to the State Committee on Open Government to get a legal ruling to force them to turn over the material. They finally did, and we actually published not only an article, my column in today's Daily News, but on our website you can actually get the entire 3-year email correspondence between these two figures. And what it shows is an enormous amount of direct support by the top person in the public school system to these charter schools in terms of raising money for them, overruling lower-level officials who are insisting that certain policies don't allow them to do certain things. A very close relationship between the top chancellor of the New York City school system and this very small charter network leader in in Harlem. And, of course, Harlem has become the ground zero for the battle over charter schools, because there are about 25 charter schools in Harlem right now. Hundreds of parents are turning out in meetings. There are battles between pro-charter parents and anti-charter parents. It's creating enormous divisions, not only in New York City, but throughout the country, as the government fails to improve the public schools, but urges parents to continue to go into charters. So it's a major issue across the country, and the Obama administration, of course, is coming out on the side of more and more charters and not dealing with some of the fundamental problems for how we improve our public schools.
Well, we'll link to that at democracynow.org.